What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 312 of the Atlantic Files. This week, we are talking about Trae Young's future and the reports swirling around the Atlanta Hawks. We are talking about the NBA draft lottery results with all the mock drafts getting thrown around. And the NBA playoffs are heating up with multiple series getting tied at 2-2. So without further ado, let's get into this week's episode.
Welcome to the Atlantic Files, where humor and vibes collide. Nets and Sixers, the king of the court. Jokes that hit you one more. Atlantic Division, we own the scene. Comedy, food talk, every routine. Mike Bash, Clausen, Fischbein on the mic, making you laugh every episode right. Game is strong, court to kitchen. We're never wrong. You know what time it is. It's time for the Atlantic Files.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Atlantic Files, the number one podcast on the number one division in the NBA, brought to you by the Underdog Sports Podcast Network, joined by your hosts, myself, Alex Fischbein, and I got Mike Bash. What's going on, Mike?
What's going on? I don't know how much longer we'll be able to say number one division in the NBA with the way the Southwest is starting to shape up, with the Spurs having 2 top 10 picks this year in Wemby, and I don't know, rumors saying they might get Trae Young out of that. So with the Spurs, the Thunder, the Suns, that might be the new number one division in the NBA.
I mean, it could be. It definitely could be. But if we're talking overall history, if we're talking, like, the Celtics are still the best in the East. The Sixers, as long as Joel Embiid is there, they're still a top contender in the East. Then the Knicks are better. The Knicks haven't been this good in years. So the only people left are the Nets and the Raptors that got to pick it up.
Yeah, well, the Nets are coming. The Nets are coming. Don't worry. We might also get Trae Young. You never know what's going to happen. I think maybe we trade Dorian Finney-Smith to Memphis for the number 9 pick. Just wait. We'll see what happens.
I mean, you know what would be nice? That number 3 pick that the Houston Rockets have right now that came from the Brooklyn
Nets. Yeah, Nets just don't like keeping number 3 overall picks. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, probably Reed Shepherd this year.
I didn't even realize those two were old Brooklyn. Were those from the was that from the Kevin Garnett trade?
Yep.
Wow. That's bad. Yikes. Well, we're already talking about it. So this will obviously bleed into the Trae Young reports and everything, but the draft lottery took place. We now know the order of the draft. So I'm just going to go over the first round order here. So in the lottery, we have the Hawks coming out with the number 1 pick. They only had, I think it was like a 3%. It was either a 3 or 9% chance of getting the first pick, and that ended up happening. The Wizards ended up with number 2. They were the only team in the top 3 in terms of odds to get the number 1 pick that actually stayed in the top 3. Then you got the Houston Rockets at 3rd via their Brooklyn Nets trade. Then San Antonio at 4th. Detroit drops to 5th. Charlotte is at 6th. Portland 7. San Antonio again in 8th with their trade with the Raptors. Then you have Memphis 9, Utah 10, Chicago 11, Oklahoma City 12, Sacramento 13, Portland 14 because of a Golden State Warriors trade. And then after that, I mean, most of this we've known now for a while. You got Miami at 15, Sixers at 16, then the Lakers, Magic, then the Raptors, then Cavs, Pelicans, Suns, Bucks, Knicks. The Knicks have back-to-back picks at 24 and 25. Then you got
a pick this year?
Not a first-round pick, no.
I don't even think they have a second-round pick.
I'm looking. No, they don't have a pick at all. So, I mean, maybe they'll make like a draft day trade or something. Who knows? I mean, it seems like Brooklyn has been in a lot of trade rumors and trade reports for a little while now. So I'm sure something will happen. But yeah, they don't have a pick as of right now. But I mean, I don't think it looks like, if I'm not mistaken, the Pacers don't have a first round pick because I think of their trade for Siakam,
Yeah.
and they only have a pick 30. Oh no, they have 3 second round picks. Never mind. So just not a first round pick. But yeah, so the lottery is set, the draft order is set. Atlanta being the surprise of them all. And the big thing here is the fact that this draft is supposed to be one of the worst in a long time. There's a lot of names out there that people don't even like, people have even heard of. There's a lot of names that when people have talked about it, they're just like, who? So if I bring this up here, I have the Ringers just as an example. Their big board, and I can share it on the screen here for those watching at home. So Alex Sarr seems to be the now consensus number one pick for most of the big boards that I've seen. He's from France. He's playing in Australia in the NBL. I mean, huge guy, 6'11", wingspan is 7'4". The only thing is that I've seen with Alex Sarr, he's not like many of the bigs we've seen like in recent years. He's not a shooter. He's not really much of an offensive threat in general. He's been more of like a rim runner and like some pick and pop. So his whole thing is rebounds and defense. And if he's the number one pick, I feel like that says a lot about this draft class.
Yeah, I mean, I think Sar will develop into a good. I don't think he's like a franchise changing player, but I do think he has a chance to become an all-star level player. The jump shot will come. If you watch him shoot in the combine workouts, he looks all right. Doesn't look, he's not knocking 22 out of 25 threes, but he looks like he can develop a jump shot. But yeah, he's a big time, defensive center, athletic. He moves really well. He'll be mobile, and if he's going to stick with Young and Murray, I mean, it's not a bad three. Is he a superstar? Probably not. Is he a guy that can play, consistently all-star level games, seasons? I think so. So I people are knocking this class because it doesn't have like a generational guy, but I think Sarr is good enough to go number one if he ends up going number one.
Yeah. I mean, if he could turn out to be like a Rudy Gobert, that definitely wouldn't be bad for Atlanta.
I don't know if I'd say Rudy Gobert. I'm trying to think of somebody I could compare him to.
These used to have comparisons, I think. Maybe if I look at his full
Well,
yeah. Here you go. Shades of Jaren Jackson.
Yeah, I was going to
Jr.
say
and
someone like
Jonathan Isaac.
Jaren Jackson. Jaren Jackson's a pretty good comp. I think Jackson's probably a little more talented than him, but I think that's a pretty good comp.
I feel like Jaren Jackson has a little bit more of an offensive game these days too.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe like when he was first coming out, The Ringer.
Got it.
This is their latest. This was updated May 12th. So on Sunday, I think it was right after the lottery.
Got it.
But yeah, this is Kevin O'Connor's mock draft here. But yeah, I mean, I see why Alex Sarr would be the number one pick, especially because, like, they seem to have always been looking for the replacement for Clint Capella, even though Clint Capella is not a bad big man, especially if you have the team to put around him. They have been waiting for Okongwu. We've talked about that plenty. That's your man's. And that just hasn't worked out. Capella has been okay, but he hasn't been anything like game changing. So maybe you bring in Sar to give you. I mean, Sar at the worst can give you the same amount of offense that Clint Capella can. So in that regard, I think it's fine. But defense wise is where if he can give you more, that'll be big. So after the number 1 pick is where I saw most of the movement. There's like this has Donovan. Is it Klingon?
Klingon, yeah. He
Klingon?
chose UConn over Rutgers out of high school. He's more of a traditional center, more of a back to the basket. He's a good player. I mean, in 1999, he'd probably be the number 1 overall pick. I don't think he goes number 2 just because I don't think he could shoot, and I don't think he's as mobile as a guy like Sar. But if you scroll down to number 3, you're gonna laugh when you see their comparison for him.
For Topic or for Klingon?
Topic.
Not Nikola Jokic or Nikola Jovic. That's funny. I mean, I've heard a lot about Topic. Topic or Topic? Topic, I think, right?
Topic.
We're gonna go with Topic. I mean, I've heard a lot about Topic. A lot of people are excited about him. I've seen actually a handful of people think that he is going to be the best player out of this draft, which, I mean, the way that the past handful of drafts have gone, like the international players are seeming to be the better ones coming out in drafts, and there seemed to be like a decent amount in this one. But I like what I've read about him. I'm waiting to do like a video series where I watch through highlights and do like a kind of like a scouting video series at some point this summer. So I'll wait to look at the highlights for that so I can react to them in real time. But I mean, he's only 18, and with the Rockets, with a young team, you get a guard, a pretty big guard. If he has shades of Goran Dragic, I think that's a win for them. I don't mind that at all. I wonder who they have for Klingon. Shades of Roy Hibbert. That makes sense. Yeah.
Well, the thing with the Rockets, I don't know. The Rockets really played. I felt like they really played well down the stretch when they put the ball in Jalen Green's hands and just let him do his thing. I mean, the problem is you have or Şengün, who's like another Jokic. So it's like, do you want to play your offense through him? Do you want to play it through Jalen Green? I think they could kind of do what the Nuggets do and play it like Murray and Jokic or Şengün and Green. So does Topic really fit that roster there? I'm not sure. Problem is, if you don't take Topic, I mean, not the problem. I don't want to say the problem. There's so many guys in this draft that could be like top 5 picks because there's not like a clear, what do you call it? Like top 1 or top 3
like
or top
5.
I could see them going for like a Zachary Rishasher if he's still there, or even a Matas Buzelis if he's there. Like they can go in so many different directions. I just don't think taking the 1 ball dominant guard there is the solution. Right. But it'll be interesting to see. If I was them, I would either trade out of the pick or go with, or unless Rishasher is still available.
Okay. No, that makes it. I think trading out of the pick makes the most sense, especially like,
and that Rockets team is ready to start winning.
Right. Especially they brought in some older guys to really help out. I mean, Fred VanVleet, Dylan Brooks, like they brought in some pieces that you're going to start to win. Like you're going to start to like really need to speed up the process.
Yeah, like I honestly, like I know there was rumors of talking to the Nets about a trade at the deadline, but trading with the Nets, the 3rd pick for, in a package for Miles Bridges is not the worst idea, or Mikal Bridges is not the worst idea.
True. I mean, Mikal Bridges would be a perfect fit on that team.
Yeah, and the Nets need picks. The Nets need young talent, and nothing. I would take Dillingham or even Topic on the Nets roster if they're going to fully rebuild. I'd also take a boatload of picks if they can get it.
True. See, so now that we get to Dillingham, the thing for me on Dillingham, not that many guards at that size succeed in the NBA.
Yeah, but
6'1" and only has a 6'2" wingspan, and he's 175 pounds. I weigh heavier. I weigh more than him, and like I'm only.
But he's shifty,
5'9".
man. He's shifty.
Oh, I know, like the shades of Lou Williams and Bones Highland. I agree with that, like 100%. I think his play style is very similar to like a hybrid of those two, and I think that he can provide a very good offensive ability. To me, his ceiling is like a Malik Monk.
Okay.
Which isn't terrible. That's not a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. But I don't see it as like a top 4 pick. Now, like you said, there's a lot of guys that can make this top 5 because we just don't really know. But if I had to bet on it, I don't think I would go with Rob Dillingham that early. Especially like you were saying, if you're the Nets and you trade into the number 3 pick, personally, I don't think I would go with Rob Dillingham at number 3. I would probably go Topic. I mean, if Buzelis is there, that's also a solid pick. Reed Shepherd has been a guy that's climbing a lot of big boards. But again,
go
with
the number
Shepherd,
55 pick.
The number what?
55.
I don't know. Does it go that far? Oh, he did do all of them. Ronnie James. I mean, look, the comparison of shades of Davion Mitchell and Norris Cole isn't that far off. But he has honestly been doing not too bad in the combine. His scrimmage probably left a good bit to be desired. Like his scrimmage, like he wasn't really doing all that much. But Bronny James in the 3-point drills and everything like that, like his shooting, his athleticism, all that stuff checks out. It all looked good. But yeah, I really think he could use one more year in college. I mean, so does most everybody else. But I don't hate what he's shown so far. So if you're just using a 2nd round pick on him, I don't think that's a bad situation.
Yeah, I mean, whatever happens at Bronny.
New Jersey boy, Jameer Watkins, though.
Dude, I wanted him so bad
And Rutgers.
At Rutgers when he transferred out of VCU. And he went to Florida State. And he hit the portal again, but I don't know if he's staying in the draft. But he would have fit Rutgers so perfect. He would fit Rutgers so perfectly again if he doesn't stay in the draft.
He probably would. I mean, I saw. Yeah, I watched him. He went to Trenton Catholic, right?
I think so.
I did like video and photo at a high school showcase that he played at, and he was, I mean, just dominating people. I mean, and not only that, but he was one of those guys that, like, even though he was by far the best player on the floor, he was like diving on the floor for loose balls and doing everything like you really wanted him to do. I liked him a lot. I think he definitely has the ability to help out in the NBA, especially at 6'7" and being a kind of like a stretch forward type of player. What do you know about KJ Simpson? Because I don't know anything about him. George Hill, Fred VanVleet.
I know he obviously played Colorado. I watched a little bit of Colorado in the tournament. That was it. Okay. But my sleeper in this draft is at 21.
21. Let's see. That would be my guy Bub.
Yeah,
Bub Carrington.
Russell.
I like Bub Carrington a lot. This has shades of big Lou Williams.
I wonder why you like him so much.
I mean, yeah, but this is one of the rare times, especially in recent history, that Pitt got a freshman that helped out right away. Pitt has not really recruited freshmen very well. They had the one in Dior, and then he got in legal trouble, and then he left Pitt. And he was probably going to be the best freshman to play in the Capel era. But they seem to do very well in the transfer portal, which is where like most of Pitt's top guys have come from in recent memory. The class that they got Carrington, they got one other guy, his name's slipping my mind, but that's probably been their best like freshman class in the Capel era. And I liked Carrington's game a lot. He put up a triple double in like his second or third game with Pitt, and he just proved to be one of those guys that like this says, he can catch fire at any point, and he can shoot from anywhere on the floor. And he is just a big dude for being a guard, like 6'5". I forget what his wingspan was. I want to say it was around 7 feet. But yeah, hasn't even turned 19 yet. I mean, I like Carrington a lot. He's a guy that I'm targeting in my 30-team fantasy league because I have tons of picks in the draft this year. So,
can we just skip forward to the 2025 draft?
For your Rutgers guys?
Yes. I'm looking at NBA draft room for 2025 mock draft, and they give you like a player comp. Number 2, Dylan Harper, Rutgers. Comp, James Harden. Number 3, Ace Bailey, Rutgers. Comp, Tracy McGrady.
Who's the number 1 pick?
Cooper Flagg.
I always forget about him. What is his comp?
Andre Karolinko plus Scottie Pippen.
That's a crazy combination.
No, it's Andre Karolinko plus, comma, Scottie Pippen.
Oh, like a souped up Andre Karolinko.
Yeah.
I see. Still. Why does this have the Sixers taking every Colorado guy?
Maybe they like Colorado.
I mean, this says the latest episode of the Ringers NBA Draft Show, John Fanta said his favorite fit for Tristan Da Silva was the Sixers. Shades of Kyle Anderson. I mean, that is a type of player that could definitely help. But I wish the Sixers would get somebody who was athletic for once. But either way, we can dive into all this stuff at a later time. But it's nice to see that all come together. Honestly, I thought it was pretty cool to see like 2 teams enter the top 3 that weren't supposed to enter the top 3. I mean, for Pistons fans, it definitely sucks. But for Rockets and Hawks fans, they got an injection of energy that they definitely weren't expecting. So that brings us to, as I say, Hawks fans. There are reports that the team is likely going to trade Trae Young or Dejounte Murray. I haven't seen really a definitive of like who it's going to be, or like it's leaning more one side than the other. It's just saying that rival executives and everyone around the NBA alike are in full belief that they will break up Trae Young and Dejounte Murray. And that's all it's really said so far. There's another rumor report that came out. It looks like yesterday. It says Hawks are going to revisit trade discussions involving players not named Trae Young and Dejounte Murray. But where there's smoke, there's usually fire. So if you were Atlanta, would you trade one of these 2? Or would you trade the pick and get someone to add to these 2?
Well, I'd trade Clint Capella.
Okay.
And I'd keep the pick because you can. Their roster is. It's hard because I feel like Trae, Murray, Sarr, Johnson, Okongwu, Hunter, like those guys can win some games. They weren't that far off from being a playoff team this year. I think Capella, you got to move. Just go with Okongwu, go with Sar, and go. And it gives you a chance to build. Like Trae Young's not old. Dejounte Murray's not old. It gives you a chance to build up with good young talent and good like guys entering their prime. Like just get rid of Capella. Capella doesn't fit that timeline. Capella can get them something back. So I think that's what I would do if I was them. I wouldn't trade Trae Young to San Antonio like everyone's saying, unless you're getting an absolute haul. And 4-8 is not enough.
Yeah, I think if you're trading Trae Young to San Antonio, you're looking to get 4-8 and either like Keldon Johnson or
Asshole.
or Vassell or even Sochan. Like you're looking to get one of those three.
Yeah.
The only thing with Sochan, you probably don't want him because that's kind of the role that Jalen Johnson plays. So you probably aren't looking at him. So it's probably coming down to either like Keldon Johnson or Vassell. But like, I don't know. A lot of people have gone back and forth about Keldon Johnson. I always liked him, but he's like Pop has put him in like every single position and every single rotation and like on the bench and then starting and like it seems like they just don't even know what to do with him. But right now, at least to trade Clint Capella, he has 1 year left on his deal on his contract for next year. So it'll be an expiring contract. He's owed $22 million next year. And then he's off the books. So he definitely should be a pretty easy trade chip, especially to like a team that's ready to rebuild. If you can ship him out and get like I don't know, like a later 20-year-old player in return that could like help the bench, and then you draft Sar and then you roll with that team, I think that's perfectly fine. The biggest thing with the Hawks is definitely their depth. Their depth has been pretty terrible. Like the starting five has been decent, and like Hunter is just so inconsistent that it's hard to rely on him. But like when you were rolling out, Dejounte, Trae Young, Jalen Johnson, and then you throw in, we would say Sar here, and then put in probably like Sadiq Bey as your starting five. That's not terrible, especially because like Sadiq Bey can shoot, Trae can shoot, Dejounte can shoot a bit, Jalen Johnson can shoot, and then Sar cleaning up the boards, playing defense, and you're not relying on him to shoot. Like that starting five would be fine. And then off the bench, you would have Bogdanovich. You'd have Hunter then, who could give you stuff here and there. But then if you trade Capella, still have Okongwu come off the bench, and then you get like a decent sixth man or something. Like I know Malik Monk is technically a free agent, but if you could trade him for somebody along the lines of that, that would be pretty huge.
Who trade Capella?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you'll probably get picks if anything.
Well,
Not gonna get a guy like Malik Monk for him.
No. But if you like, I'm saying if you trade Clint Capella and like maybe like a next year's second or a couple seconds or something, you could probably get something pretty decent. I mean, I don't know, but I entertainment wise, I would like to see Trae Young in San Antonio.
Yeah, that'd be awesome for him and Wemby, but I don't know if it's the right move.
For Atlanta or for San Antonio?
For Atlanta.
I mean, Atlanta, they need to figure out what they want to do, really. It feels like Atlanta doesn't even have like a full plan for their future. So it seems like they're just kind of treading water. And the last time, I mean, they had that big playoff run in 2021 where they got all the way to the conference finals. And since then, they lost in the first round and then didn't make the playoffs. So they've gone backwards quickly. And to me, if you're Atlanta and you have to trade one of the two, I like Dejounte Murray more than Trae Young personally. However, if I'm Atlanta, I would probably want to trade Dejounte and keep Trae Young as like your homegrown superstar, and then trade Dejounte and Capella and start to just get everybody in there that can actually be consistent supporting cast for Trae Young.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's a tough. It's a. I could see them doing both. It's just they're in a weird. I feel like they've boxed themselves into a weird situation.
Oh, for sure, because they've paid people that they should not have paid. I mean, Capella should not be making 20 million plus.
Did they pay him
This
or did Houston pay him?
they no Houston did pay him, but they traded for him not too long after that extension. Oh no, I'm sorry. Atlanta did pay him. They traded for him in 2019, 2020, and then he signed another extension after that in 2021.
Okay.
So yeah, they still also paid him. But I mean, Atlanta's paying him. They're paying obviously Trae Young. They're paying Dejounte Murray. I think Murray's salary is pretty high too. Trae Young, going off this past year, Trae made 40 million, Capella made 20, DeAndre Hunter made 20 million, Bogdanovich made 18.7, and Murray made 18.2. And Murray still has, so he signed an extension with the Hawks last offseason. And so he has 3 more years and a player option where he makes 25, 27, 29, and the player option is for 31.6. So they definitely screwed themselves into a corner with signing all these contracts. I have no idea why, of all people, DeAndre Hunter's making $20 million.
That's a lot of money to not make the playoffs.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, that they signed DeAndre Hunter to the extension in October of 2022. And so this year he made 20. He makes 21.6 next year, then 23.3, and then 24.9 for DeAndre Hunter.
It's insanity.
So
It's I thought DeAndre Hunter was going to be good too. I don't know what happened to him. I mean, he's not bad, but he's not a $20 million a year player.
No. I mean, he had some issues with some injuries, but like he was the number 4 overall pick.
He is averaging 15 points. I didn't know he was averaging 15 points a game.
Yeah. He's not awful.
He shoots 38% from 3. He really isn't that bad of a player.
But this past year was decent. He had some very good stretches.
He just never took that next step.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially one that you would expect of the number 4 pick. Like you would expect him to do what Jalen Johnson is doing right now.
Yeah.
But he just kind of stayed the same. Which, like, again, staying the same isn't terrible. He's a decent role player. But for 20 plus million a year, not the best. With that being said, that takes us to the NBA playoffs. So I threw this in our group chat. Last week, you and I talked about Nuggets Timberwolves. You said they were cooked.
Well, maybe they were raw. They weren't cooked. Maybe they were like, you put it in the air fryer. You put it in the air fryer, but you got a few more minutes left. So they're not done yet.
They definitely aren't done yet because now the series is tied 2-2 after they took both in Minnesota.
To quote Marcus Peters, I said, we're not done yet.
The great Marcus Peters.
I said we ain't done yet.
But I thought the Nuggets I said they were on the ropes the last time I talked about the Nuggets. I still think they're somewhat on the ropes because the fact that the Timberwolves can win like that in Denver and they're not backing down from Denver, I think says a lot about the Timberwolves' mindset and their talent. Now, Jamal Murray playing a little bit better. That's huge for Denver's outlook for the rest of their playoff run. Jokic is obviously, he's Jokic. He's going to do what he does. But the big person still in this postseason, especially, Aaron Gordon has been nuts. Aaron Gordon has just been like the key to the Nuggets' success this year. Like even more than Michael Porter Jr.
Well, it's funny because Aaron Gordon was like, and it's a weird case. Like, he was a guy in Orlando who was like the star for Orlando, everything for Orlando.
True.
But he took him out of Orlando and he didn't try to force himself to be a star in Denver. He just was like, all right, I'm going to fill my role. And he's been perfect for that. There's not a lot of guys in the NBA that would go from the situation they were in for Orlando to Denver and acclimate themselves into that situation and fit that team as well as he did.
True.
Most guys like Bradley Beal going from Washington to Phoenix didn't work out.
Yeah. I mean, I will say it's also like Bradley Beal was at a higher level in Washington than Gordon was in Orlando at the time. But it's just like there's something to be said about the mindset of a player to go and fit in with a team. Just like, I mean, you see it with even like Kevin Durant. He's been going to multiple teams now and has just every stop, there's been a report where it's like, oh, he didn't get the ball enough, or like he didn't like the offense, or then he didn't have enough help, or anything to like just say that, he wasn't fitting into the team and the team wasn't fitting in with him. But Aaron Gordon fit in pretty seamlessly right away. And like you said, that there's a lot to be said about that. I just want to see. I mean, I knew he was like the guy in Orlando, but yeah, he hasn't even made an all-star game, which, I mean, not saying that he like needed to be, but like his best season in Orlando was back in 17-18, and he put up 17 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal a game. Didn't turn the ball over much, only 1.8. Shot 43% from the floor. So like not bad at all. And then you look at not this past, like not the season going on now, but the one before, he put up 16 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists a game. He was still doing the exact same thing he was doing in Orlando, yet he was the third option. Which is just like,
but you see what
crazy.
happened is it's funny. It's funny because you look at his best year in Orlando, right? Yeah. He shot 45% from the field, 31% from 3. You look at his best season in Denver, which was last year, and he shot 56% from the floor. That's an 11% increase. And 35% from 3, which is a 5% increase. It was like 4% when you take out the rounding.
Right.
Actually, it was the same percentage. I was looking at the wrong number. It's pretty much the same percentage as he did in Orlando that one year. But still, like, he got way more efficient. He got, he did everything else the same way, but his efficiency was way up.
Yeah.
Obviously, his usage was down.
And if you take into account all the seasons in Orlando combined and then all the seasons in Denver combined, he's averaging 2 more points a game in his 4 seasons with Denver compared to his 7 seasons with Orlando. And he's shooting 10% better from the floor, 0.2% worse from 3, which is essentially neither here nor there. His free throw percentage still isn't great, but rebounding is essentially the same. Assists went up by about 0.5. Steals are pretty much the same. Blocks are pretty much the same. Turnovers the same. Like, All that stuff is either the same or better, even though his usage went down. He's not the number one guy. He's not even the number two guy. And I think not enough has been said about Aaron Gordon leading up to now. I think now people are realizing like how important Aaron Gordon is. And I think if you removed Aaron Gordon and left everyone else, Denver isn't as successful as they are right now.
I agree. But
And
they
that's
should have kept
even-
mobile.
They should. And that's even like Michael Porter Jr. is a guy that like he was looked at as supposed to be like the guy. And don't get me wrong, he did well this season, like 16.7 points, 7 rebounds a game. Shot
0.5 assists.
True. I mean, we all knew it wasn't going to be an assist guy.
Well, how many assists does he have?
1.5 per game.
That dude does not pass.
In his career, he's averaging 1.2.
So one time a game, you know what? And I bet that most of his assists are probably like fast break outlet or fast break. Like he has to give it up, kind of like.
It's either that
Or it's a swing.
Or he gets the ball and he pump fakes, but the defender's still there, so he finally gives it away.
Yeah. Like there's no way he's driving and dishing and or like, creating. It's gonna be like, he gets a long rebound, passes it up to somebody else, and they get a dunk or something. That's where he gets his 1 assist a game.
Oh, for sure. I mean, but I will give it to him. His 3-point shooting is crazy. He's 41% for his career on 5.9 attempts per game. This year, he shot 39.7% on 6.8 attempts. And he's shooting 48% from the floor this year, 49.9% for his career. So his shooting is there. But I just felt like he was supposed to be even more than what he is. This postseason, he is doing pretty well. This postseason, he's shooting 46.8% from the three on 6.9 attempts a game. That's honestly ridiculous. And he's averaging 18 points, 7 rebounds, 1.2 assists, and 1.2 steals, shooting 52% from the floor. So, while I think Aaron Gordon is more important, especially for like both offense and defense, I do have to say Michael Porter Jr. is doing better than I thought he was, but I have to say like he is doing very well. And as a third option, you can't ask for much more. Like if Tobias Harris gave you what Michael Porter Jr. is giving you, I guarantee Philly fans would not hate him at all.
Yeah, Tobias Harris isn't that kind of player.
No.
He was supposed to be.
Supposed to be. I mean, definitely not the shooter, that's for sure. But at least the scorer in general.
Tobias Harris almost went to Rutgers. Another guy that got away.
He went to what, Tennessee?
Yeah. Damn, he's played for a lot. Wow. He's
Tobias
had a
Harris?
pretty wild career.
Oh, yeah. He's been quite the journeyman.
But he's played well. I mean, for the most part, he's played well on every stop.
Oh, yeah. His best year, I think, was like 2018, like 2018-19, which I think is the same year he got traded to the Sixers.
He played with Luke Richard and Bob Mute.
Yep. Yes, he did. I mean, when he was first drafted to Milwaukee, he was playing with
Steven Jackson.
He was playing with Monte Ellis, Larry Sanders, Andrew Bogut.
He knew Turkoglu.
Yep.
That's crazy. And Big Baby Davis. Look at this team.
He's played with a lot of people. I mean, when he played in Detroit, he played with Spencer Dinwiddie in Dinwiddie's second year in the league, and he played with that was when Detroit had Reggie Jackson and Brandon Jennings.
So Tobias Harris in his second year played with Big Baby Davis, Kyle O'Quinn, Hedo Turkoglu, and his coach was Jock Vaughn.
Yes. Well, he also played with Samuel Dallenberg in that year when he played with Milwaukee. And Mike Dunleavy. And Drew Gooden.
Could you believe that Landry Fields the GM? I did not know that.
Oh, yeah, no. It is weird to think. Oh, and by the way, Tobias Harris played with JJ Redick.
Yeah.
In Milwaukee.
Who might now be the Lakers coach.
Yes. But then linked up with JJ Redick again in Philly. But they did not overlap on the Clippers. Somehow.
That's crazy.
But yeah, the other series going on, Dallas and Oklahoma City, I think is a very fun series. Those two just keep going back and forth of being hot, being cold, and then that's where we're at now. And Luka has been very good. Kyrie's been fun to watch again. I was gonna ask Dennis what he thought when Kyrie referenced Josh Hart's quote about people working 12-hour shifts and then they have to play to respect those people that play the 12-hour shift or that work the 12-hour shifts, because that was Dennis's whole argument about why Kyrie is an asshole. So I have to ask him about it the next time Dennis is on. But OKC is just a fun team. I just love watching them play. They're just awesome. Yeah. The Knicks Pacers series, I just wish people weren't getting hurt all the time. And I gotta say, the reffing in the Knicks Pacers series is just otherworldly bad for both teams. It's terrible.
Is there a game tonight?
I thought so. Checking. Yeah, there is. They play at 8:00, so they're about to tip off right now. And then Timberwolves Nuggets plays at 10:30.
I'm gonna be passed out by the time that game comes on.
I probably will too. But that was our last topic of the week, unless you have anything else to get off your chest.
Nope, that's all I got.
Cool. Well, thank you everybody for watching on YouTube. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button below, subscribe, hit the bell. It lets you know when we go live. We go live every week, usually Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. For all of you listening, or if you want to listen, we're everywhere you get your audio podcast, Spotify, Apple, Google, Stitcher, whatever. All that stuff, we are there. Please rate, review, subscribe on there too. It helps us out, gets our name out there to everybody. We appreciate all of you tuning in. Thank you, everybody. We will catch you guys next week. We are the Atlantic Files, #1 podcast, and #1 division in the NBA. See you next week. Peace.